Last week, Reza Studios brought a new update to Automobilista 2, bringing a whole host of new improvements, updates and functionality to the Automobilista 2 title. In this video, we're going to take a look at my initial impressions of this update with a race around Sebring in the LMDh cars against the AI. I hope you enjoy. Okay, here we go, 25 minutes around Sebring, multi-class race. We're driving the Alpine LMDh car with LMP2s and GT3s also in this, making a 49 car grid. We're starting in around P9/P10. AI skill level is set to 110% and their aggression is set to the maximum level. It's coming to the green light now. And there we are. Usual rolling start, much like in the Sebring 12 hours. Cold tyres and cold brakes, something I'll watch out for here in the opening few corners, as I'm hearing a few collisions off on the left hand side there. Some cars possibly bumping with one another or slightly brushing the wall on the inside, but generally we're making it through these first few corners pretty unscathed. Try and pick up a little bit of slipstream here, that's the inside. A little bit of contact between myself and the BMW there. The rubbing is racing. We're through. It wasn't necessarily intentional there. Just kind of got a little bit squeezed on the inside. Didn't really intend to go for the two positions, but when a opportunity presents itself, I'm not going to shy away from taking it. So let's see how the AI handle this race. There's apparently been a number of AI improvements as well as physics updates. And unfortunately I was away in Brussels last Friday when this version 1.6 update actually released. But I've been playing it the last couple of evenings and I've been really enjoying it. It's certainly been a fairly significant step up in a number of areas. As I pick up a track limits warning there on the inside of the final corner. There are lines there on the inside, so a little bit surprised by that. Oh, that looks like someone may have died through here. No, just a huge plume of smoke, so I'm going to assume a massive great big lockup or something like that. Close up on the back of the AI. But yeah, I've been playing it the last couple of evenings, mainly enjoying the multiplayer element with low fuel motorsport, LFM now being a factor here in AMS2. And it works in pretty much exactly the same way as it does in other sims such as ACC, which is really nice to see. For those of you who've never used low fuel motorsport 4, it's effectively a third-party matchmaking system that ties in within the game. There's a number of various different races that happen on a regular scheduled basis. You sign up to the one that you want to do on their website. It assigns you to a specific server and race split, and then you participate in that against others who have also signed up to the same race and been match made with you. You get assigned elo rating and all that sort of thing. It's effectively the iRacing system, but done through a third-party app, and it's there for those titles that don't have something built in themselves, and it's a very good system. Quite popular. Quite a number of users within the sim racing community use it, so I'd certainly recommend it if you're looking for some good high quality multiplayer action. And they do have practice servers as well that you can access. It's all passworded, but obviously if you sign up on the LFM website, all the details and everything can be found there. So that element to the multiplayer has been very, very good, and it's been very, very stable as well, especially considering the functionality through LFM is currently in beta. They're just testing and experimenting with a few things at the moment, but no doubt the service will continue to improve on top of how good it already is, which is very, very good. And the AI are really getting quite feisty and battling away with each other here, which is really quite cool to see. So yeah, from a multiplayer aspect, it's looking really quite good. There are a few bugs. I have experienced one where the practice server got reset, everyone got taken back to the lobby, but within 30 seconds we were launching once again and back on track driving. And obviously there are general madness engine things and quirks like we've just seen there through the that fast double left-hander with the cars braking a bit loose, but then somehow magically saving it. AI on that simplified physics model, they're able to get away with some things that the players aren't able to, and sometimes will magically catch a moment that would probably mean instant death for a player. There you can see it again, look, in those high-speed sections. So hopefully that is something that Reza will sort, but it's very, very cool to see and watch this trio of AI cars up in front, all, oopsie daisy, all battling away, trying to overtake each other, trying to defend. They could be a little bit more punchy with their moves, I reckon, and actually draw up alongside a little bit more, and they are quite slow off the exit of this hairpin here, so I'm trying not to exploit that too much. I'm going to send it around the outside of the Porsche here. It's really trying to fight it, as you can see. Oh, car getting a little bit loose. Nope, not quite able to get into a position down the inside there. And then they're straight onto the attack of the BMW at the front. But yeah, they're actually defending, they're actually venturing away from the racing line, which is something that they didn't really do in Project Cars 2, which obviously uses the same engine, the Magnus engine, and I was a Project Cars 2 dev, also worked on Project Cars 3 and Project Cars 4, which unfortunately got cancelled by EA. So I know a lot of the systems and the functionality, and I've designed a number of things here, being a games designer, within the Madness engine. So I'm picking up on a few of the quirks and things that have been present within the Madness engine for a long, long time, and it's always that factor of having worked on the previous Project Cars games, which obviously this title is built off of. It's created a little bit of a love-hate relationship for me with AMS2, because a lot of the stuff in terms of functionality and features that myself and others have designed are still here present in AMS2. And it's made it a little bit difficult to kind of shake that Project Cars 2 feeling. But this update, this version 1.6 update, has been the biggest, most significant step away from that, and this title feeling a lot more standalone and its own separate entity for me. There's been a number of UI improvements. Generally the UI is a fair bit cleaner and easier to read, which has really separated itself from Project Cars 2 and AMS2 Evolved. And the new presets feature is absolutely fantastic. It's exactly what the motorsports presets were intended to be. They've taken it to a whole new level and really maximised that feature's full potential with the way that it redresses the UI and is done on the main menu rather than actually within the single or quick race mode by itself. The way it just kind of impacts everything. They've really thought about it and implemented it in a very simple and easy to use way, but has added a new layer of depth and functionality there to that feature. Oopsie daisy, as I've gone and absolutely murdered a Cadillac there. Oh, I'm getting punished and hit for it as well at the same time. We'll gloss over that. Let's turn the lights on as well, seeing as we are heading into the sunset and into the dark, and we've also got some GT3 traffic also coming into play. That's pretty cool, seeing the AI flash their lights there. But yeah, that new presets feature, chef's kiss. Well done, Reza. You've absolutely knocked it out of the park there with that. Such a nice upgrade. Oh, and very, very nice to see. But the main thing that everyone's probably intrigued about is the actual physics and driving experience now in AMS2, and I have to say it's very, very good. A nice significant step up in that area as well. There are a few things that I'm not particularly fond of. Oh my god, this AI has spooked me a little bit and managed to slip on through with a relatively nice move. See if we can get them back here on the inside in turn one. Nope, they managed to brake a little bit later than we do. But yeah, sorry, as I was saying, there are a couple of things that I'm not particularly fond of. The first one being that traction control is near enough useless. Like, I'm running on TC1 and I don't really want to run on anything higher than that because it interferes with the acceleration too much, and I don't want to run TC0 just because it makes the car really, really difficult to drive. So you're basically locked to this one position. I don't see any real need to change it other than when you know, rain and wet weather starts to come into effect, then obviously you'd want to increase it in that scenario there. But otherwise, here in these LMDh cars, running TC1 isn't overly realistic. I'd be expected to run a fair bit more. Traction control, it just feels like there's two bigger steps between each traction control setting at the moment, and even in TC1 it's interfering and cutting power in a few places that you wouldn't necessarily want or expect it to be doing so. So hopefully that's something that they can improve. The other thing is two aspects to the sound. The first is the tyres. You can hear coming through this corner here, as cars are dying up in front. Okay, we'll slip on through that. But yeah, you'll hear as I'm driving around. I'll try and go quiet for you in a minute once I finish explaining it. But basically, the tyres, it sounds like they're scrubbing constantly. You put a tiny little bit of steering angle into them and a tiny little bit of load. You hear this kind of rubbling, kind of squirming, low sort of squealing sound. Obviously, once you actually kind of get into the point where you step over the slip angle and the tyres actually do start sliding, there is a different sound there, and that is pretty well done. But otherwise, this general sort of scrubbing sound that you get with even just a tiny little bit of load on the tyres, it's just flat throughout the entire range, so it's really difficult to actually read how much the tyres are actually loading up and when they're starting to slip, other than when you you go over that slip angle, then you certainly feel it through the force feedback, and you get a different tyre sound altogether. But I'll come out the other side of into turn 1 and the following corners and go quiet for you, so you can listen out for it yourself. I mean, you probably heard it a little bit there through sunset, but it's that sound the entire time, even though I'm not necessarily putting a huge amount of steering lock or really kind of scrubbing the tyres. Like, you could hear it there going through that right-hander when there isn't really going to be all that much load on the tyre. Obviously in some cases, yes, the tyre is going to be scrubbing a little bit and will be more heavily loaded up. But it'd be great if that was certainly dialed down or removed. I've had to turn the tyre audio down to 35% just to try and get it to a more manageable level and still be able to hear the tyres once I actually go past the slip angle when you do start sliding. The other thing, sound-wise, I mentioned it before, is the fall-off or how audible cars are when they're a distance away from you. And again, it's something that I've had to turn down to kind of get to a more realistic level. Yes, when you were in this sort of proximity to other cars, you would expect to hear them. And like there, kind of when you're within, let's say 15 or so, 10 to 15 meters of them, I'd expect to kind of hear them gradually fading in, and then when you're right next to them, really hear them quite loud and clearly. But like, you can hear cars when you're this sort of distance away from them. Obviously with all the other cars going around at the moment, it's a little bit more difficult to make out, but I just wish there was a little bit more of a fall off here in this racing environment to kind of create that heavily isolated experience of being in a race car and everything sounding so raw and aggressive and it's so loud because the engine is right there behind your ears, and that is overpowering a lot of the other sounds in and around the environment. Obviously when it comes to replay cameras and things like that, I would expect to hear cars a lot more audibly, a lot further away. Like there, these cars are probably a good 30-40 meters up the road, and I could hear them so clearly coming out the exit of that previous corner. I'll do it again here. Obviously they do go a little bit quieter when I myself are on throttle, but still it's just a little bit too far away. It kind of detracts from the immersion a little bit. But let's talk about some positives. It looks like the AI are relatively good at carving their way through the multi-class traffic, which is really nice to see. I haven't really gained a huge amount of time on this Porsche ahead of us in P2. We have gained some, but it's not been absolute masses like we would have been gaining prior to this update. So that's something that's really, really good. The other thing that is really, really nice is the way these LMDh cars drive. It feels natural and intuitive. They drive exactly how you kind of expect them to. They're a little bit of a dog and a little bit understeery in some of the slow speed corners. Obviously as the downforce picks up in the higher speed stuff, they feel a fair bit more nimble and agile. I do find that the braking is a little bit hard to judge. It's probably the sound of the kind of the squirring tyres That scrumming tyre sound is probably playing an element to it. Also, maybe not quite getting my brake settings completely dialed in. But generally the force feedback feels really, really good. Really nicely communicative. And certainly feels better, an improvement to how it did beforehand. But yeah, these cars feel just natural, intuitive, and they're a lot of fun to drive. I've not tried all of the LMDh cars. I've obviously been driving this Alpine here, and I've been driving the Porsche 963 a fair bit as well. And the two cars feel relatively similar, but I need to give the Cadillac, the Lamborghini a go, just to see how they behave and whether they behave in a very similar fashion to these two other cars, or whether they do have their own kind of more unique handling characteristics. It's great to see the bump starts being simulated pretty accurately, and from what I can tell, the hybrid model was also done pretty accurately. So you can see down on the display here on the steering wheel our SOC, i.e. state of charge. It's there in that orange box on the right hand side. It's reading 15-16%. Really quite low. So let's not go and absolutely blow the braking zone there. Let's try this again. Right, that's on, now balanced. So let's go ahead and set that to build. And what it should do is stop the deployment of the hybrid electric power and use more fuel without actually changing the performance of the car. And from what I can tell from the testing that I have done, AMS2 have got this right, much like Le Mans Ultimate has. Something that iRacing hasn't done, because the hybrid power on their GTP cars at the moment actually adds onto the top of the power produced by the internal combustion engine, aka F1 style, which is incorrect for these cars. However, there is an update coming next week that actually has the cars bump starting properly, and hopefully with that also comes the change to how the hybrid system works, and hopefully it behaves in a more accurate fashion. But as you can see, that last lap was only 1-2 tenths off the lap prior to it. Yet we are building our battery percentage. The state of charge is going up. So it's not like we're losing power, it's just the power is distributed differently between the internal combustion engine and that hybrid electric motor. The motor's not deploying as much, the electric motor, sorry, is not deploying as much, and we're therefore leaning more towards more usage from the internal combustion engine, which therefore uses more fuel. That's effectively what it's doing, is it's balancing between fuel and between the hybrid energy. And that's how the systems work IRL in IMSA and also in WEC as well. So it's really, really good to see that Reza have simulated this accurately on our best lap delta by quite a significant margin, but obviously cooler conditions now here in the night as well, also not having to worry about traffic being in the way, and we are closing in on the race leader as well. The gap was previously 7.5, 8 or so seconds, as we've got just a couple of laps here left in this race. Oh, that bump is absolutely massive there on the inside. But yeah, that's certainly one improvement. And generally, I just enjoy the way these cars behave. They do get a little bit loose. You can save them, but if you get too loose with them, they will step out on you. It feels like you can drive the car on the pedals a little bit more than you could previously. so it's not all about the wheel work. There is still some element of that Madness engine feeling that I've always felt there, where the front tyres always feel like they have a fair bit more grip than the rear tyres. It's just the way it's communicated through the force feedback with that relatively heavy weight. It gives that impression. It's cool to see the AI flashing the GT cars in front as well. Quite an authentic, realistic feature, although they would be doing it in other places, not necessarily through the middle of a corner. So yeah, all in all, I think this is an absolutely fantastic update for this game. It's really put it back on the map for me as a sim to play a lot more often, because these last couple of nights that I've been playing it, I've really been enjoying it, and this was all quite cool to see. Fireworks. Don't they all look pretty? Maybe a little bit too audible in my ears, but still pretty nicely done. Coming up to the start-finish line now. And there we go, that's the end of the race. So yeah, I've got to say, fantastic update by Reza for Automobilista 2 here. I certainly will be playing it a fair bit more, enjoying it at the moment. And I'd like to test out a few other cars and obviously do some multiplayer races and kind of showcase low fuel motorsport once again and get up towards the higher splits and racing against people who are of more similar skill level to me. But if you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below. I'll try and get back to you as soon as I can. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave it a like, and until the next one, have fun, stay safe, and take care.